Good evening, everyone. Richard Copperthwaite, a.k.a. Duke Forrest. Thanks for joining us for our Wednesday night, the best damn sports show in Franklin County. And Mr. Dave Handy here only because it's a wet day out there and golf got rained out. And I'm personally very happy that golf got rained out. And about our good friend, the Nighthawk, our fine host who puts a ton of effort into the show. Nighthawk was a late scratch. And I guess I'll just leave it at that. Anyway, so golf, I guess that was pretty clear earlier. Did they even close the course earlier, do you know?
Yeah, because I had lunch at the golf course.
Oh, is that right? How's the food concession this year?
It's very good.
Yeah?
It's very good.
So the successor to Mike
she's
Sims
good.
doing a decent job?
Yes.
I got to get out there. I usually play golf and leave. I got to give that place some attention.
No, she's good.
Yeah.
And
similar menu to Mike's?
Yeah.
Some changes?
A little bit different here and there, but on the whole, it's fine. It's good.
Great. Excellent.
And we were out there and for lunch today, and Chris, the superintendent, came in.
Yeah.
And he said if we get even a scintilla more rain, we couldn't play.
Yeah.
And in the forecast for this afternoon was bad.
Yeah. We played late yesterday, and it's still wet. So.
I happened to play late yesterday too.
Oh, really?
But I had something happen for me. I birdied 7, 8, and 9 all in a row.
Oh, did you?
I really
did. Have you had 3 straight birdies before?
Only once.
Is that right?
30 years ago.
Really?
And
Boy, I think I've maybe had consecutive birdies once, conceivably twice. No way I've ever had 3 in a row.
Well, I can't remember the last time I had 2 in a row.
Is that right? 3 in a row? Is that right? Wow.
It was.
So what'd you get for 9?
38, I think.
Really? Wow.
Because I started off with a double.
Really?
And I got par and then a bogey and another double. And I had no inkling it was coming, but I could. But the last 4 or 5 holes, I was hitting the ball good, and each putt was successively longer.
Really?
And by the nine was probably a 20, 25 footer.
Really?
But at least I hit the ball on a green. I mean, which I was perfectly happy with.
It's funny you mentioned that because I wasn't playing well yesterday, but about halfway through I started playing better. Hit 3 of the last 5 greens in regulation, and guess what? You'll never guess what I did on all 3 of those greens. 3 putted.
Oh,
even by my low standards, yesterday got pretty embarrassing.
It's a mean game.
Boy.
It's a mean game. I don't believe I've ever played better than I'm playing right now.
Is that right? Your best golf of your life?
And my whole life, I'm keeping the ball in play.
Wow.
And been sticking around the low 80s, and but you never know when it's going to go. You have a few bad shots, and then all of a sudden you hit a few good shots. My problem is consistency.
Yeah.
But.
Geez, that's great. That's impressive.
And so no, hey, I still hit it far enough. The guys I play with, I'll tell you, who's playing good golf is John Duffy.
Oh yeah.
Oh, he's shooting low 70s every time out.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Of course, we're going to have to start. We'll be going. I'm sure my scores will be going up once we go to the black tees.
So you're on yellow tees now?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's too early and it's too wet.
I've hung with yellow. I'm a yellow guy still.
And
so you go to black at some point?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a little different ball game, I guess.
Well, I was hoping
on some holes.
I was hoping Nighthawk was going to be here because I figured we'd be talking about the Giants draft.
Yeah, well, we'll still talk about it. I think Nighthawk. I talked to him a bit on the golf course about the draft. I think he was very happy and important. You got to be psyched about next year, especially maybe if you happen to be looking for a new QB, and that's could be
what
the
they
case.
were saying. But I think that next year's draft is going to be really deep, and plus they'll be able to scout the guys better than they did this year. This year was kind of a crapshoot.
Yeah,
they don't really know what in the heck they're getting.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
but.
Let's talk draft. Were you reasonably happy with their?
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is the first time in many years where I think the Giants actually have depth and they have some quality.
Huh.
And when they signed all those free agents a few weeks ago,
yeah,
that kind of left them some room in the draft to just pick who they felt like and not having to take a particular spot, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're pretty good. And what about the Patriots getting Mac Jones?
Yeah, I'm very, again, it's interesting. Some of your top sports pundits out there, like Colin Cowherd's not high on him, but what an obvious pick. Although knowing Belichick or feeling I know Belichick, I bet part of them hated to do that because everybody's saying, hey, Belichick, get Mac Jones, the obvious pick. I can think of part of them saying, hey, screw you guys, I got a better idea, but it was just such an obvious pick. But
well,
of course, I love the people who say, wow, Belichick, that guy's got so brainy, as if he was in control of the first 14 picks or something.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say they were more than a little lucky to get Mac Jones falling into their lap, I would say.
Well, the picks went pretty well according to
Pretty
plan.
much, yeah.
And then when the Giants traded,
Yeah.
of course, the Giants were really hoping. I think they were going to hope for either Devontae Smith or Waddle.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And when the Eagles traded up,
Daniel Jones is probably so hoping as well.
well, the receiver they ended up getting
Yeah.
is considered to be like one hairbreadth away
Really?
from being as good as those guys. So,
Uh-huh.
but I thought they did pretty well just to move down 9 spots, pick up a first-round pick for next year.
Yeah, that's right. Which should be a pretty decent first
Yeah, I
round
don't think
pick.
the Bears will be that good.
Yeah.
And so that worked out pretty good. And I think most everybody seemed pretty happy with who they got.
Yeah.
And the 49ers, I think, had put up a smoke screen that they were maybe interested in Fields when, in fact, they weren't. I forget the kid they took. And but
Trey Lance, is that?
yeah, I think so. And but the Bears really wanted Fields.
Yeah.
So that left the quarterbacks all picked until Jones came along.
Yeah.
And
No, I'm very happy. I'd say, that's great news for me. Of course, Belichick was quick. You got Belichick's son. He's so predictable. It took
he's
him
beautiful.
Seconds to say, hey, coach, boy, you got this great, quarterback out of Cam Newton's my quarterback. In fact, I think I have an exchange. Dan Shaughnessy likes Cam, but just thinks, it's insane for the Pats to have this guy as their quarterback. So here's the exchange. I guess Belichick's first press conference, and this is Shaughnessy first. No one will be able to crack Bill on this one. Not Rodney Harrison, Adam Schefter, Bill Cowher, Bill Parcells, Tom House, Tom Brady, or Bob Kraft. Certainly not Jonathan Kraft. Not Zoe, not Tommy, not the cartel. One of the reporters tried, again, asking him about who's your quarterback, following up on Bill's unsolicited declaration of love for Newton Thursday night. Question, going back to your comments off the top, you said that Cam's our quarterback? What exactly does that mean? Shaughnessy, parenthesis, wow. Talk about walking into one. And the response from Belichick, answer, just what I said. And this is Shaughnessy again. The battered, intrepid reporter came back with, how long does that last for? Belichick, I don't know, said Belichick. Somebody would have to play better than he does. Back to Shaughnessy. So there you go. You're damn right Bill ordered the code red, and he's not going to move Cam out of the starting job to make Felger and Maz feel better. He's going to stick with the plan. He'll be like the Red Sox putting Jackie Bradley Jr. in center field every day, even when JBJ's hitting 190. Bill hates rookie quarterbacks. He will not turn his team over to Jones unless Newton gets hurt. Get used to it. Mac Jones is the future quarterback of the Patriots, maybe a star, but he will not be the quarterback of the Patriots at the start of the season unless Newton gets hurt. That's really not too surprising. Are any of these, probably none of these quarterbacks, the top guys, none of those guys are likely to start, are they?
Well, the guy with the Jets and
Maybe, I guess the Jets, but
probably
the good
Trevor
teams.
Lawrence will probably start.
Yeah, okay. Well, I guess
If
I
you've got
shouldn't say
nothing
no.
else, when you're a two-win team,
Right.
you might as well throw them out to the wolves.
Right, some of the one. But for Belichick, that totally not surprising to hear that. And Mac Jones is buying that. What do you think Mac's going to say? Hey, I'm hoping to be the, Mac's a team guy, but no, I think the Pats did very, very well.
This was the first one of these things where I've ever seen where the Giants got an A+ by all the.
Oh, is that right?
An A or A+ by some of the Raiders.
Do you read? I get the Free Press these days just because they practically give it to me.
I do read it occasionally.
Did you read today? They had in the sports section a USA Today story, 15 picks, good picks who people might not
I did.
have been
I
expecting.
perused that.
And the
Giants
got
had
one,
some.
the Pats got two. Aziz Ojulari from
the
Georgia.
linebacker from Georgia.
Right, and I'll just read this, and the Pats got two in this. Exhibiting a newfound sense of flexibility and patience, GM Dave Gettleman, or Trader Dave, I love that, as he was playfully coined after moving back in the draft for the first time in his career, managed to net key assets for himself while maneuvering around the board. Yet at number 50, he still landed a pass rusher worthy of the first round in Ojulari. While some might be concerned with how a 6'2", 249-pound linebacker can beat NFL offensive tackles, Ojulari has a winning formula with his explosive first step, impressive length, and smooth cornering. I was reading some of the Pats sports pundits were thinking the Pats might go after him. Sounds like a good pick.
Yeah, he was highly regarded.
Yeah.
I was a little surprised that they didn't take what in the hell's the kid's name? Slater. Because he was available when the Giants picked, but they obviously didn't think he was better than the guys they had.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that's when they traded. Now, we watched a little bit of that draft.
Not every minute.
Oh my God! On Thursday night, they dragged that out.
Yeah, and they had different people connected to the teams coming up and making
afterwards. Oh,
yeah, that didn't knock me over too much.
They make such a big deal out of that. It takes way too long.
Yeah, the next night was a lot better, and I didn't see any of Saturday. I assume Saturday went pretty quickly.
I think Saturday they just go one right after another.
Yeah, no,
they've got them all on their screens, and they know when somebody else goes, then you take the next guy.
Yeah. Did I catch boo? Roger Goodell, he got booed. Didn't I catch boos when he first at the beginning? Maybe not.
And the other, of course, the big football news, of course, is the situation with Aaron Rodgers.
Boy, that's talk about a story that's not going away. Yeah, I'm hearing that every day. What do you think? A big question is Aaron Rodgers with the Pack and at the start of the season?
I don't know. Because he's
where's he going?
He's threatening not to play at all and retire.
Is that right? No, I hadn't heard that.
And
wow,
of course, he's a prima donna.
Yeah.
He's actually a prima donna's prima donna.
Yeah, he doesn't sound like the easiest guy to deal with.
No,
but a pretty talented guy.
Well, he's as good as there is.
Yeah.
And the problem, of course, I think he doesn't like this GM that the Packers have now. He's been mad at him ever since they drafted the quarterback first last year, when he probably figured that they needed wide receivers. And supposedly what really put the bee under his bonnet was he had some favorite receiver that they cut last year. Some guy that he liked really well. I can't tell you. He's not a big star, but he was a guy Rodgers liked.
And Rodgers has been less than impressed with their drafting, I think, in recent years. And anyway, I think. Although I guess they haven't been doing too badly. Huh?
Well, if you I like to look on both sides.
Yeah.
All right. If you look at Rodgers' point of view, Rodgers is 37 going on 38.
Yeah.
How many more good years does he have left? Not many.
Probably not too many.
So why don't you try to really go for it this year?
Yeah.
Kind of like what the Giants did. And because obviously the Giants didn't have any salary cap room, but they finagled away to get all of these free agents.
Yeah.
The Packers haven't done any of that. So Rodgers, I'm sure in his mind, feels that they're just happy doing the best they can. They're good, but they're not great. Now, on the other hand, my old buddy Linwood used to have an expression, dog wags tail. Tail doesn't wag dog.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned it. I wrote down Lynn in my notes today because I was doing some 49ers stuff and I couldn't remember. How did he hook into the Niners? Where did that come from?
Well, there was something to do. They were Giants fans for a long time.
Yeah.
And they did something he didn't like, and he switched.
Is that right? And picked up the Niners.
Interesting. But dog wags tail, not tail wags dog. And, if you look at all of the sports, and especially the NBA, where the coaches and management really don't amount to anything, and the players, it's really the players they recruit their own buddies now, and so that in there. It's a whole like Deshaun Watson not wanting to play for the Texans. Of course, now I don't think he's going to have a choice.
Really.
But I mean, these players, if you're getting 30, 40 million bucks a year, it's hard to take orders from a guy getting $3 million bucks a year.
Yeah.
And
baseball obviously runs into the same. I guess every NBA maybe more than.
Oh. Yeah. So
hockey maybe not so much at this point.
No, I don't think so. And so you get that issue. And then the other thing is with the Packers is, what do you get back for Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah.
How do you trade him? Whatever you get, it's not going to be enough.
Yeah.
And if you're another team, because they were asking Gettleman in his news conference after the draft, if he'd be interested in Rodgers. And he said, sure, I'd be interested or something, but we got a quarterback anyway.
Yeah.
But he says, what do you give for a guy like that? And he's 38 years old.
Yeah.
So
yeah, good question. Probably not a whole lot.
So I don't know where that's going to end up. I don't have a clue. I haven't got any inside information.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah. Just back to the Pats for a second. If Mac Jones hadn't kind of fallen into their lap, I wonder. I mean, I got to think Jimmy G was a little bit on Belichick's mind, but we'll never know. But
have the 49ers officially cut him yet? Or?
No, in fact, I'm hearing a lot of. In fact, I heard an interview with him. He sounds like he's mostly Colin Cowherd, who has very good words for him. Ultimate team player. Colin's saying, hey, he's starting. They're not starting the rookie. Jimmy G will have one more year under his belt, and I suspect he may well be right. No, so I think they're hanging on to him. I mean, they have a very good team,
and they
with
thought
with a rookie quarterback. I mean, who knows what you get?
Yeah.
So I think he's their quarterback for probably one more season.
Well, and if he plays good.
Yeah, I feel bad for the guy. He gets hung. I mean, it seems like you guys have hung him. One bad pass which would have given him a Super Bowl, but it seems like for one bad pass, of course, injury prone sounds like the biggest.
I think.
Hasn't he just played in missed 40% of his games or something?
Yeah.
But I mean, geez, sounds like he's a great guy. I mean, the Pats loved him. Belichick loved him. Had Belichick had his way, he would have been the Pats quarterback, right or wrong, for the last 5 years or something.
Well, speaking of injuries, Gettleman also said that Jones was severely hurt, and that. Remember when he had that hamstring?
Yeah.
He,
whether he should be playing in those late games.
He shouldn't have been playing at all.
Right?
Anybody else, he said, any other player wouldn't have played.
Did Gettleman acknowledge that they shouldn't have played him?
Well, he said he earned a lot of respect from the guys.
Just playing tough.
But like the first game he came back, he couldn't do anything.
Right.
And he did come back a little bit, but he was hurt worse than what they thought.
Interesting.
So,
but I'm sure good words from his teammates for playing tough.
I think the Giants like Jones. I think they like his character.
Yeah.
I think if they give him some tools, he'll be okay. Let's face it, that poor guy's been under stress from the minute he got there.
Yeah, for sure.
They don't get much of a rhythm.
Yeah.
You get Barkley and all these new receivers.
Yeah.
Better line.
Yeah.
Giants could be pretty good.
Yeah. But boy, a lot of pressure on him. I mean, Nighthawk's been very clear. Nighthawk has given him 2 years of slack saying, hey, third year, Daniel, producer, it's going to be time to move on probably.
Yeah, I think this is
there's,
it.
There's more than a little. There's a lot of pressure on him. But it does sound like he's got maybe a much better team.
Yeah, I think it'll be good to watch him. Hey, just having Barkley come back.
Sure, that should be worth a lot.
Barkley's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it sounds like it could be a decent team.
Well, and as much as I hate all of the hoopla and all the crap about the draft, I did. Nighthawk has got me interested in it enough so that I'll at least read a little bit about it and follow it some.
Yeah, I'll follow it some. Yeah, I probably should thank Nighthawk for that also.
Because, I've never been one of these fantasy players or any of that stuff.
Last thing I would go near.
I didn't even, there was a pool for the basketball that my buddies had.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't even get in it because I said, hey, I'm not
going back to March Madness.
Yeah. I said, there's no way I'm picking 42 games.
Yeah.
You give me one team or two teams, maybe I'll pick a couple of those.
Yeah.
But if you think I'm going to sit there and pick 42 games, I'll never be able to figure that out.
Yeah.
I don't know how people can do that.
Yeah, I guess Gonzaga got the supposedly the top high school recruit. I guess a big 7'1" center.
Oh, really?
I forget from where. Who the usual suspects were going. I didn't see Duke, but Carolina, Kansas, Kentucky, but Gonzaga got that guy.
I'm sure they'll all have plenty.
Yeah.
And who knows about Duke this year?
Yeah, a funny year, and I wasn't. I kind of got into them when it looked like they were making a kind of a medium late run to maybe get into the tournament, and they kind of fell apart. I think they lost 2 straight overtime games that killed them, but I didn't really get into the team.
It's almost like Krzyzewski didn't really he didn't have his heart in it.
Yeah, I think that's the case even. Because the women's team, I think, was the first major team to bag the season. And I'm not sure Coach K felt a lot differently. And they definitely bagged some of their non-conference games. Remember the Alabama coach?
Yeah.
And Alabama had a good year, but I love the Alabama coach saying, Coach K was afraid he was going to lose more games or something. I'm going, boy, buddy, you better hope you're not playing Duke. I'm sure it wouldn't be at Alabama, either at Duke or on a neutral court sometime. I think Coach K just might remember those comments.
Well, if he doesn't, I'm sure the fans at Cameron Indoor Arena will remember it.
Yeah, but no, I think it was kind of a weird year. But no, I don't think he was totally into this year.
Now,
Baylor, a team, that wasn't getting much. I mean, they were getting a lot of respect, but I mean, Gonzaga was just a team. And I felt a little bad. They've had so many good teams like Duke had for a while without winning at all. I was kind of hoping Gonzaga would win, but Baylor blew my mind.
Oh, Baylor
watched the
was
finals.
just
What a great team.
Good. Oh, man.
And I guess folks are saying, hey, last year might have been the same thing had the season not just totally, ended there. But very impressive team.
Yeah, they were definitely the 2 best teams.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yeah, fittingly met for the championship. So in NBA, are you paying any attention to the NBA?
0.
Boy, if Hawk were here, I'd be talking Celtics with him. Celtics are, 3 games over 500? They had that incredible comeback with Jason Tatum scoring 60 points. Did you catch that?
No.
They were down 32 points to, was it Golden State? Jeez, I'm even spacing out on that. Literally down 32 points. Got back, got it into OT, and Jason Tatum was 13 out of 19 from the floor, 15 out of 17 from the line, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. But
wow.
I think tied a Celtic record. Did Larry Bird have maybe 160-point game or something?
I think Mikhail had one.
Oh, is that
and then I think the next night Bird got him by 2.
Oh, is that right?
I think so.
Huh. But Celtics, boy, pretty
Are they going to
shaky.
even make the playoffs?
I guess they'll make it. I think they're playing. I'm sorry, Hawk's not here. He's watched every second of the Celtics game. I think there's a play-in for the 7th and 8th teams in their division or something. Have to do some play-in games. Celtics might be on the edge. I mean, they'll definitely at least get that. But boy, even some rumblings about Brad Stevens these days. Even some kind of rumblings that the locker room's not totally in sync. And, of course, people saying, geez, Brad, maybe you should have thought if, in fact, the Indiana job, IU job was offered to you, and I suspect if he wanted it, he could have grabbed it in Indiana University in Bloomington. But, he's...
Why would any really good basketball coach.
You're going to say any good college basketball coach
Why
go to the pros?
would they turn down a good college job
or
for
the
a
other
pro
way.
job?
Yeah. Well, I give Coach K credit because the Celtics went after him hard, and the Lakers some years later. And I give Coach K credit. I mean, he's a god at Duke and stuff.
Yes.
I told you the building that next to Cameron Indoor, it was named after. In fact, one of the names is one of my freshman roommates, Alan Schwartz, who became a key top of the line of Bear Stearns, I think.
Oh.
I actually made it to the top, but I think he's got his name. I think it's Butters Schwartz. Tom Butters, your former AD. I think it's named for my freshman not roommate, but fellow housemate Alan Schwartz. But
How did he make out when Bear Stearns went back?
Oh, I think he had I think he had maybe gotten the top job not long before things fell apart at 2008, 2009, and I'm not sure what's happened to him. I trust he had a lot of money in the bank by that point.
Well, I hope he did.
But it's funny, he wasn't a close friend, but, we were friends freshman year.
Sure.
But we were noteworthy in the sense, two northern kids. He's a Long Island guy. I'm suburban Boston. And we were the two northern white kids in my freshman house at Duke who had black roommates. And I probably mentioned that story many times. Just knew my roommate's name, George DePriest, out of Richmond area. And he got there ahead of me. I flew down, showed up on campus and walked into my room, and there's a can of Afro Sheen on the closing. I'm saying, hey, something tells me George is black, and George hopefully still was indeed black. But Alan had a baseball scholarship. I guess he had, I certainly don't think he made it to MLB. I think he might have played maybe some minor league baseball. Anyway, but had a good run at least until the crash in 2008. Anyway, but Coach K, yeah, what a smart guy to stay at Duke and be God. I mean,
look at all the coaches like Dean Smith,
yeah,
John Wooden,
yeah,
those guys.
Really had pretty good life.
That college coaching.
Yeah.
Look at the football with.
Well, you got Lou Saban at
Lou Saban.
Nick Saban was Lou.
Nick Saban. Lou Saban used to coach Buffalo.
Right. Sorry, Nick Saban.
And then our buddy in Clemson there, what's his name?
Dabo Sweeney. Yeah, really. What you want to go to the
$10
pros
million a year.
Right. You want to go to the pros and eventually, presumably, get fired by somebody, or yeah.
Because the pros average coach probably doesn't last more than 3-4 years.
Yeah.
I mean, for every Bill Belichick,
yeah,
there's 50 Pat Shurmurs.
Yeah.
That are come and gone in 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, Colin Cowherd was saying today, just looking at pro coaches, he's saying, I think there are like 7 to 9 who are shaky going into this season, who might be gone after this season.
Oh, yeah.
No, I give those guys credit. Smart decision to stay where they were. So basketball,
Basketball I've written it off.
Is that right? Just because of lack of interest, of politics, or mix?
Well, I don't like the way they play.
Yeah.
And number 2, I don't like being preached at. All the sloganeering and all that crap,
which drove Nighthawk totally crazy.
Well, I'm very offended at guys making $10 million a year, telling me how much suffering they're going through.
Yeah,
it's a little too
hard to
much.
take. Yeah.
The same with the Hollywood crowd. The Oscars had their lowest ratings ever, and they were really bad this year.
I think under 10 mil. I don't usually pay much attention to that. I paid zero just because I'm not a streaming guy. I mean, the movies meant nothing to me.
No, I haven't watched a new movie.
So that meant absolutely nothing to me. I think they were under 10 million viewers. In the good old days, they were up in the 20s, I think.
Oh, that used to be a big...
sure, huge.
The last newest movie I saw was... the one with Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci and Al Pacino.
I know I didn't see it, but I know what you're talking. I can't think of the name, but I didn't see it.
The Irishman.
Hey, thank you. Glad
you got a couple of senior citizens here. We can't remember anything.
Thank you, Alan.
Though I did pull out. Somebody asked me something the other day, and I I gave them the answers. I forget what it was, and they go, "Wow, you remember that?" And I go, "If you don't ask me what I had for lunch yesterday, I can tell you."
I believe me, I hear you. Hey, you're probably closer to this than me. Can I look forward to movies coming back to the Weldon? Do you think?
I don't know.
No inside info.
No,
on that.
I don't. I haven't seen Marion in quite a while.
I haven't seen, and of course, I lost her fine husband, who was my great dentist for years.
Yeah,
I lost
mine
Doc
too.
Schumer. All right. Yep, lost a good doc. Hopefully those guys are doing well. I trust they are. I noticed Mary's Marquise. She does a popcorn night once in a while, which I usually take advantage of about once a month or so. Saturday night they'll bring it out to you. $7 for a big popcorn, all the butter you want. They'll give you a candy bar also. That's been kind of cool. She just said, on the marquee, it's usually.
I think we're not too far away.
Some theaters have come forward. I'm not
I
sure
think we're not too far away from not having any restrictions.
Yeah.
Florida this week opened everything up.
Yeah.
No COVID, nothing.
Yeah. Well, I'm telling you, Governor Ron, he says, I read a long story on him for the record. DeSantis is how you hear his last name.
Right.
He pronounces it apparently DeSantis, minor point. But boy, I'm telling you, if right now I would say if Trump's not the Republican nominee in 2024, personally I hope he's not, but if he's not, boy, I'd be tempted to put a little money on Governor DeSantis.
He's good.
Yeah, he's a kind of a Trump a little lighter but combative, but gets and again even the mainstream media. I didn't see the 60 Minutes interview. Did you see that a month or so ago?
I didn't, but I heard they kind of tried to set him up a little bit, but they didn't do it.
And even some more liberal folks said, because they nailed him, and they were saying some vaccination points he had tended to some of his supporters
weren't
more,
they saying
and also
that
got some money, got some campaign.
Well, because they had vaccinations. If you've been in Florida, there's a lot of Publix.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is like
as in supermarket,
Publix, drugstore.
Yeah.
And he said, no, we didn't have the vaccinations there because with the campaign. It's because that's where the people go.
Right.
And which made sense. And if you've been to Florida, there's a Publix on every street corner.
Right. But they tried to nail him on that or getting some campaign money. And what they did, and he obviously strongly denied that. I suspect there are feelings both ways on that. But again, at some point he gave a very strong denial of that, and 60 Minutes just edited that denial. So in fact, I guess on air, I didn't see it, but on air apparently it wasn't that much of a denial just because they edited, and that's pathetic. And then 60 Minutes even got some grief from some folks who probably typically love 60 Minutes.
Well, the mainstream media right now, people don't trust them. They just had a thing on where all the New York Post and CNN and all that had to have a retraction on some stuff they had on Giuliani.
Yep, I did. I caught
didn't
a little
read
bit of that.
the whole thing because I'm sick of it. I don't want to read any of it. But,
I'm pretty sick of it too. Yeah, I did catch a little bit of that.
But what's happened is the people just don't have any faith in what they're reading.
No, you're right about that.
And it's really the media has a lot of work to do because now it's all come out, with like the folks from these editors from CNN and stuff. We did everything we could. We've been scaring everybody just so that we could get rid of Trump, and it worked. And that's not really it's not really right. But they had, I don't know. Did you remember the movie Network?
No, sure. I'm not. A guy yelling out the window, of course. I'm
crazy as hell.
I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore.
Sure. That movie, the premise of that was so far-fetched in 1976.
And not far-fetched these days, huh?
Well, they at the end, do you remember they paid these revolutionaries to kill the anchorman because he had stopped promoting the network, and it was saying how they were taking corporate money and blah, blah, blah. So they killed him on live TV so they'd have better ratings.
No, really. No, I don't remember that. I just remember the guy yelling out the window.
And like William Holden was the old, he was like your Walter Cronkite, Eric Sevareid kind of guy. And supposedly back in the old days, your network news was a separate entity so that they could have their integrity, and nobody messed with the news department.
Right, yeah.
But the news has stopped being a news department for at least the last 25 or 30
And of course,
years.
you've made the point too, and it's a good point that there's so many voices these days. I mean, you said, hey, in the old days, Walter Cronkite had a ton of credibility, and probably most people, 70% of people probably said, yeah, I trust Walter Cronkite.
Yeah, you did.
Imagine anybody now getting more than, 30% if they're lucky or something?
Well,
But there's so many voices now. And another thing is, there's a veteran reporter on my tiny scale in Franklin County, Vermont. People also don't differentiate, and the networks don't help. I'd give Fox, I think Fox does a better job of differentiating between their news guys and their commentators than CNN. I mean, I think Anderson Cooper's a solid guy, but yeah, the Trump thing, some of those guys, their hatred of Trump, which I can personally understand, but was palpable, and I don't like seeing it. Hey, I may share your feelings, but I don't want to see you raging about it on TV in front of me, especially if you're supposedly a news guy and not a commentator.
tell me the news and let the people figure it out.
But that's it. I think for a lot of people, it's blurred. They're not, if they're watching somebody, they're not sure if it's somebody commenting or supposedly a news person. That's so blurred now, and everybody can be a journalist these days. So good luck. I mean.
Well, the other big issue you've got is before you go back pre-internet.
Yeah.
You had your radio, TV, newspaper.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And
it
was easy.
Right.
It was easy to put stuff in there, and you only had papers like the Inquirer that would really be salacious and
a few crazies.
if you put stuff out there but now with these blogs and these internet newspapers, guys just put stuff out there, and what happens is if you have a particular bent or a little tendency, you read your news.
Somebody.
You read your news from the same kind of news that you're tilted to.
Sure,
so you never learn. You never get both sides of an issue.
Sure, the echo chamber.
It's
right. So many
nuts.
people. I give myself a little credit, even in college. As I think about it, some of my probably typically more liberal friends at college. Richard, because I was getting Village Voice at the time, probably about the most liberal publication I could get. I loved some of their guys, Nat Hentoff, just great people. But also, for the record, I was getting National Review, just to give me, I think from early on, it meant something to me to get, and I still do. In fact, I think you've got a national one of mine in front of you. So I'll purposely give myself different points of view. I'll give myself a little credit for that, and I wish a lot of people did that. I think precious few people do that.
They make up their mind and that's it.
And just as you say, hook into whoever's going to reinforce their feelings.
Well, the other thing is that, and it starts right from the top. They don't have a civil discourse.
Right. Yeah.
They're calling people names, and you got 2-year-olds fighting with 3-year-olds.
Yeah.
It's really embarrassing.
Well, boy, I mean, if you think you can put the genie back in the bottle, I hope you're right.
I don't know. I don't know who can.
I think it's gone. I just can't imagine it happening.
I don't know, and it's tough. And the sports is the same thing. I mean, you look at what's happened to ESPN.
I watch their telecast, but I just watch very little of the Sports Center and stuff. So you're telling me that even
they've got an agenda.
Yeah.
That whole whatever it is they're putting out there.
Yeah.
And
I don't watch it enough.
I don't watch it at all anymore. I can't take it.
Is that right?
I haven't watched. I can't remember the last time I watched Sports Center.
Yeah.
And I used to start every morning. First thing I do is watch Sports Center.
Really?
And the last thing I do when I go to bed is watch Sports Center.
And those days are gone. Huh?
Oh yeah.
Interesting.
And but it's people just want sports. I think just to entertain them. They want preaching, go to church.
Yeah.
And eventually, I think maybe people will get sick of it and they'll realize, life is a pendulum. It comes and goes and comes and goes.
So you're at least hoping it'll swing back at some point.
I'd like to think so. Yeah. I think a lot of it is set up by the the leadership. And the other problem you've got is you've got maybe 4 or 5 big players that control all your media, your the news, the networks. I mean, you look at ABC, ESPN, Google, Microsoft, the Facebook. They're all. Yeah. It's a very limited, and they keep buying up. They keep buying up these platforms because what's happening is people aren't watching TV anymore. Yeah. And hardly anybody's hooked up to the cable anymore. Yeah. That's really...
All right, so I'm a dinosaur on that front as well, I guess.
Oh, me too. And this new thing now, you can get this Fire Stick or something for $149 a year that has 2 or 3 local channels and all kinds of news and all your major networks. $149 a year.
Really?
Well, shoot, I'm paying over. I'm not going to say, but well over $250 a month for cable.
No, I hear you. I'm in the same ballpark. It's insane what I'm. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I'm in the same ballpark.
And I'm paying a lot more than that because I've been renting a lot of movies.
Interesting.
Big stretch.
So sounds like Netflix is again. This means nothing. I just don't do that. Are you a Netflix guy?
We've got it.
Yeah,
but what I'll do is, and most of their movies are newer movies, and I don't know.
I know you said you're getting into older movies, right?
Yeah, I watched a movie last night called The Cincinnati Kid with
Jackie Gleason.
No,
Paul Newman.
Steve McQueen.
Oh, Steve McQueen. Sorry.
The one you're thinking of is The Hustler.
The Hustler, thank you. Which is Jackie and Paul.
It's a very similar kind of movie, except instead of being pool player, Steve McQueen is a card shark.
Oh, is that right?
Plays 5-card stud.
I'm sure that sounds like a fun movie.
And the Jackie Gleason guy is Edgar G. Robinson. He's the established star card player.
It's funny you mention him because on one of my, in one of the Comcast channels, 250, I think, I came across an Edward G. movie last night. I think there's one channel that's showing a lot of like 1940s movies and stuff. God, what a character!
He was good.
Yeah,
he was good as the guy.
Hey, guess what? We
got a call.
Maybe we'll come back to. Thank you, caller. Fire away. Good to have you.
Hey guys, how are we doing tonight?
We're okay. Good to hear.
You?
Good to hear from you. How are you?
Good. David, I have to just laugh. It sounds like you get the same Comcast bill I get every month.
And
I complain about it all the time, but what I need is to get educated on how to watch TV again. These young guys, well, Bobby, you got to stream this way, do that. And I'm scratching my head and saying, come over to my house and show me what I want.
Yeah. Bobby, for the record,
cable is terribly expensive.
Yeah. Bobby,
we have 1 million stations. To get a good station, you got to fall into the next platform. You get one good station with 6 stations that are no good. Then another station you may like goes to the next platform. Yeah. So they really got you by the ears. And we have tons of stations, and I bet we watch maybe a half a dozen of them. And the rest just never get watched. I almost wish it could be you pay for the usage, and, it would be a lot better. Of course, cable wouldn't make their money, but it's incredible how many stations we have and how many of them are useless.
I hear you. My bill, for the record, I think I just paid it. My Comcast bill that I just got was, I'm above, how about $271?
Yeah, that's...
and that's with some second-tier movie, like Stars. There's some good stuff on Stars, and all of a sudden, in fact, I'm watching my favorite show, and all of a sudden it's gone because they start charging. So that was like another $10 a month or so. But yeah, I hear you.
Well, I can tell you, caller, my son doesn't have cable, but he's got Hulu and Zulu and all that stuff. But you know what? All those streamers, it's not the same. It's not the same. It's not as easy as having the cable and just getting what you want.
No, I'm sure for me, I'd probably be helpless with this other stuff.
And I figure I'm on the tail end of however long I'm going to be here. I might as well enjoy watching TV. But you're right. A lot of times you got 800 channels, 900 channels, and there's not one thing you want to watch. There's just,
Definitely. It's kind of comical, actually, but Comcast is quick and it's clean. You will not find a better cable network. Like, we do the triple play with the phone, the computer.
Same here.
And the computer is blazing fast, flawless, and, we still have a landline, for my parents and everything. And, like I said, as far as TV viewing, there's one great station in every tier, so they drag it to the end. But, we pay in the neighborhood as $240 something. And last summer, like, I dropped the HBOs and Showtimes. We do have Stars and a couple other ones.
Epics, there's some decent stuff on
You're
Epics.
still watching Porky's and, movies that are 40 years old. So, and it went down a little bit then, and it always finds its way to creep back up.
well,
Yeah, I hear you.
we're having we have dealer meetings every once a month, and we talk about advertising and in the old days, like I was telling Richard,
Yeah.
in the old days, all you had to worry about was TV, radio, newsprint,
Right.
or maybe direct mail.
Boy, now you got, tons of...
Oh, you're all, and let me tell you something. When somebody clicks on something on your computer at home, when you click on, let's say, a Ford F-150, well, we know that, so we put we put an ad out there for a GMC pickup so that we can attack, or like if you try to get an airline reservation, or if you're looking at an airline, the next day when you turn on your computer, you got 42 airline ads.
Oh, yeah, the floodgate opens.
And the internet is just a platform for advertisers to trace you around. Remember when it was when they first came out with the internet, they said, "Oh, this is going to be fantastic," and it's really been instead of freeing people up, it's actually closed them in because you can't go anywhere. And if you go Facebook or they know wherever you've been, and now they're finally coming out with a few search engines or things that don't remember where you go.
Really?
And
I know exactly what
crazy.
You mean. You look like at a new pair of shoes, and you have shoes on the internet for the next 2 weeks.
Oh, absolutely.
And even with Facebook, when I first got on a few years ago, you did connect with friends. There was a few advertisements. Now it's just a political platform on there. It almost is set up so people can bicker back and forth. You may see a friend or two's comments, but it's all political advertisement. I mean, whatever side of the fence you're on, there's things on there. But that's kind of walked away from its first intention, too. When I first got on, I touched bases with old schoolmates that live across, America. And now, like I said, it's everything but. So that certainly has changed in time.
Now, I suppose we should talk sports. How are the Red Sox doing? I don't know. I haven't been following any
Sounds like
baseball.
rain was an issue, Bobby. Are they rain delay or?
Oh, I don't know. I have no idea.
In fact, actually,
I watched a half an inning this year.
Oh, really?
One thing did come on my phone a little while ago. John Means of Baltimore pitched a no-hitter today.
Really? Wow, the Orioles.
Which is hard to do. I mean, it's quite a feat when you do that.
Wow. Yeah, Red Sox are dealing with Baltimore this weekend. It sounded like the Red Sox were likely to run into a rain delay. The pregame guys were talking start around 8 o'clock or so. So no baseball because of I know these guys talked about it when I was away, because of the All-Star game situation, or just not interested anyway, or what?
Oh, it's a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
It's just not the same to me anymore. Like Dave said, his buddy told him, you've got the tail wagging the dog and a bunch of spoiled brats in the game of sports. I haven't watched nothing in quite some time. Since the World Series, since the Super Bowl, which I enjoyed, I really haven't watched a few Bruin games, but that's been about it. I did watch the draft, and that thing is getting real corny. That lazy boy chairs they had on stage, whatever team had to be picking the draft pick, one of their fans get to sit in a chair. And I mean, it's getting pretty strange.
How'd the Rams do? How do you think your guys did?
Well, I will tell you in January, we had really no first-round pick. I think we did okay. We didn't have a lot of spots to fill, and a lot of them were just backup players or rotation players. But, we'll see how it all pans out. Now, one good thing, a couple of the Tar Heels football team, 2 running backs went early, and, you don't see that a lot. That's not a big high production school for the NFL. And didn't a Dookie pass receiver go as well?
I think, in fact, I was in the later rounds. I think Nighthawk, Rick said maybe a couple Dookies might have been drafted, but that shows you where I am. I'm not even on top of that. But yeah, and I actually was watching when weren't the North Carolina backs, didn't they get drafted almost one after another, or am I dreaming that?
No, I believe you're right.
Yeah.
That first night of the draft, I was kind of excited for it, but my goodness, didn't they drag between each pick? It kind of took the fun right out of it.
They drag, and again, they keep, they brought in a representative from some guy with some organization. Yeah, I wasn't impressed. They were kind of losing me the first night.
Oh, every pick's 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, you know what, caller, I'm going to ask you something because you follow hockey a little bit. What about this suspension or lack of for this Wilson, who mauled these 2 guys from the Rangers?
I did hear a little about that, but I'm not on top of that.
Basically what happened is this Wilson took this guy, his helmet was off, grabbed his hair, threw his head and pushed it into the ice.
Really?
And the guy was a very skilled player. And he ended up he's out for the rest of the season. Of course, the Rangers didn't get in the playoffs. And Rangers ended up firing Davidson today.
Right, yes, I did see that.
Wow.
But this guy, Wilson,
He's a bully.
I think what they should do in hockey, for guys that do stuff like that, they ought to be suspended when they do something that's illegal, not an accident. When you hurt a guy and he's out for 6 months, you should be out for 6 months.
Absolutely.
Because I watched the highlights of that, and that was absolutely vicious. And he's lucky the guy didn't get killed.
Well, is that really?
Because when
one thing though, we talked about this at work today, and this day and time is still kind of strange that they allow fighting. Like 2 guys drop their gloves, the refs back up 6 feet. They let these guys punch it out until they feel they're both tired out. Then 2 refs get in between them. Perhaps they should never let the fight start. And I know people like fights in hockey, but it kind of gives you the invitation to do things like what just happened with that Wilson, Really, I don't, what are they going to wait for till some guy gets whacked the end of the nose and gets a brain injury before they stop it?
Well,
So I think it just kind of opens up the doors for these fights and,
Hey, do you remember Ted Green?
Oh, sure.
Gets whacked over the head. Brashear, same thing. Brashear got whacked over the head. I mean, that's not sport.
Yeah.
No, they've got to be a little bit stricter.
There's a line they shouldn't cross, and this Wilson, this is like the 7th time he's been fined.
Oh yeah, he's a big bully.
Wow.
And $5,000 fine is a joke to a guy like that.
That's all he got, $5,000.
Yeah, and the guy would have been out. And the guy that he hurt was probably one of the Rangers' best players.
Really?
No, that's wrong.
Wow.
And there'll be revenge for that too.
Oh, it reminds me of when Claude Lemieux took out the, who is it, McCarty on the Red Wings? Or Claude Lemieux took somebody out when he was with Colorado from the Red Wings. He checked him into the boards, and the guy lost like 8 teeth and broke his jaw. And
yeah. That's right.
And then the next year, when the Red Wings played Colorado, the first game, maybe it was McCarty. I think it was McCarty or McSorley that got a hold of Lemieux, and he literally pounded the stuffing out of him. And the refs did nothing because they knew he deserved it. And Lemieux mostly turtled the whole time.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. Now and then I'll go on my phone on YouTube, and you get these fights way back from the 70s and 80s in hockey. These guys are pretty rugged.
Oh, those were...
oh, yeah.
Those are good.
Back then, they wore no helmets, and this was good old backyard boxing.
Yeah. I mean, goalie, can you imagine that? I mean, goalies, of course, I grew up with goalies not wearing a mask.
I know.
How unbelievable does that seem now?
Well, remember when Jerry Cheevers was the first...
the toughest face in the world.
Well, I guess, was Jerry like the first guy?
He was, the first guy was Jacques Plante to wear a mask.
Huh.
But Cheevers, remember he had the little stitches on his mask?
I do remember. Yeah, I think I remember his mask.
Of course, the sticks weren't like they are today. Those old wooden sticks weren't as easy to lift the puck up, and they weighed 800 pounds.
Maybe some out of Richford, Vermont, or Northland.
Oh, I bet you there were.
Yeah.
But these new sticks today with the carbon fiber and all that crap, hey, a decent hockey stick's $250, $300.
Is that right?
And those guys go through them like cordwood.
Wow. I mean, for your typical BFA hockey player, how much?
A couple $100.
Is that right for a stick?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And they don't last.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, sticks aren't cheap. When we used to play, I bet you Bobby can remember when we were playing street hockey. In the old days, everybody had a Titan. And the Titans never broke because they had the blade had about an inch border of plastic on it.
I was going to say, I can remember, I love street hockey. I remember, wrapping my stick with a lot of just black tape and stuff too, or...
Yeah, that's what we did too, Duke. We had about 3 rolls of tape on the end of it.
Wow.
Half a blade, and good old days.
Wow.
Yeah, these guys, they don't play enough street hockey.
Oh, we loved that.
Right.
We would do that every night. We entertained ourselves. I don't think they have the opportunities we did at kids. People are spread out all over living now. We had the luxury of a bunch of kids living in a neighborhood.
Yes.
And it was easy to round everybody up.
Yeah.
Where, like I say, people are spread out all over now.
Yeah.
But, geez, again, I wouldn't trade those days for anything.
I hear you. I was in the same situation, outside suburban Boston, just tons of kids in the neighborhood, plenty of kids, and we'd play capture the flag at night. Oh. One of my neighbors had a great lawn. I mean, capture the flag every night of summer, but after a day of baseball all day, tons of kids.
You used to play some, and nobody had a cell phone, and nobody cared where you were as long as you're home for supper.
Right, be home for supper. Yeah, it's a very different world, and I'm not sure it's it's certainly not a totally better world. I don't know what to say.
No, that's for sure.
Wow.
Okay, I'll let you guys go there. Great show, guys. Keep it up.
Hey, thanks for checking in. Thanks. We'll see ya. So your Yankees, I think the obits for the Yanks were maybe a little premature.
A little premature. I have not watched because I've got one of my guys at work's a big Red Sox fan, and I did tell him today. I said I think they beat Houston yesterday.
And so the Yankees did be. And
they played Houston for the first time.
I guess the big story, boy, Houston. I guess the
fans, all 10,000 of them.
Right.
Let them have it.
Right. In fact, it sounds like a lot of the chants for stuff we cannot repeat.
No,
over these airwaves.
Especially for Altuve.
So, right. Boy, I guess they run into that. Sounds like he runs into that for the rest of his baseball career.
Oh, I think so.
Wow.
Well, baseball, no other sport.
Yeah. I'm
not going to say encouraged, but had the fan part of the heckling.
Yeah.
The heckling has always been part of baseball. And the fans have always tried to get on the guys.
Yeah.
But Houston's really catching hell. And but the Yankees, 2 weeks ago, Stanton looked like he was gone for dead.
Yeah.
He's hitting like 580 or 600.
Is that right?
For the
Just
last
back
10
to
games, he's had like 4 3-hit games.
Really?
And Judge is playing pretty good, and their pitching's been good.
Yeah.
And our buddy Gleyber Torres, who looked awful the first couple weeks, is really starting to look better.
Huh.
So they're playing a little better. You know, I have a saying that I use all the time when I'm playing golf, and if I have 3 birdies in a row, I figure that I will say sooner or later water seeks its own level, and you're going to get what you're supposed to get.
Yeah.
And now, how about the Red Sox? Are they still in first place?
I guess they are. They're a little shaky. They're playing the Tigers now. Talk about, boy.
Oh, the Tigers
I think
are a
you can
mess.
make the case. Maybe one of the,
Maybe
worst
the
teams
worst team in the majors.
In the majors, maybe for a long time in the majors. Terrible team.
Yeah.
Red Sox jumped on them early yesterday. The Tigers finally started hitting, kind of got back in the game, but the Red Sox did win.
And
Red Sox are still holding up. Like I said, just like I didn't buy the Yankees, just like I wasn't saying, oh yeah, the Yankees are history, forget it, terrible season. Red Sox, I still don't even know a lot of these guys. It's a interesting team, but Alex Cora can manage and stuff, and it sounds like he's maybe not getting the grief, certainly not getting the grief that the Houston players got, even though he maybe deserves a little of it anyway.
well, you know what? Name me.
But he seems like, he screwed up. He was, I think he acknowledged, he was pretty candid. Hey, I screwed up. If nobody buys that, I understand. Your feelings are your feelings, but I'd like to think deep down he's a pretty decent guy.
Well, I give him credit.
Yeah.
Because number one, they all cheat in baseball.
Yeah.
They've all tried to cheat
Yeah.
and get away with as much as they can.
Yeah.
From scuffing up the ball to reading the signs.
Yeah.
It's part of the game. But number two, Cora took his punishment
Yeah.
and he did his time.
Yeah.
So now he's over.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you do the crime, you do the time,
Yeah.
it's over. You can't.
Yeah.
The trouble with Altuve and those guys,
Yeah.
they never had any punishment.
Yeah.
That's the worst part of it for me.
Yeah. Huh.
And it's like the steroid guys.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for some people, yeah, Roger Clemens isn't, he's tainted forever. For Nighthawk, he'd say that
Bonds.
about David Ortiz even.
Yeah.
He's tainted.
But who's to say they aren't doing it now and they're just better at not
Yeah.
getting caught at it?
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know. And who's to say you wouldn't do it if you're living in a place where the life expectancy is 40 years old,
Yeah.
and you don't have a chance. The best job you can get is shining shoes.
Yeah.
You wouldn't do something if you're a good baseball player.
Hey,
Or
I
good-
suppose I'm back to journalism. I suppose you could say that about some of the quote journalists out there. Make enough noise, say enough crazy stuff, and someone is going to grab you probably.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, it's kind of sad.
But anyway,
But so you're not paying any personal attention to the Yanks,
I'm not watching any games.
really? Will that change maybe, or
No.
Is that, and again, is this go back to
That
the
is
All-Star?
that is my punishment to baseball.
Is that
for
right?
moving the All-Star game?
Is that right? Really?
Of course, I really don't like the way the Yankees play either.
Is that right?
I can't tell you how many games they had last year.
Yeah.
Leadoff guy on, second guy gets a hit.
Yeah.
Neither of those guys score. They don't get them in with nobody out.
Yeah.
And they
Probably wouldn't cross your mind to put down a bunt and move them up or anything.
no, and
Huh.
I hate the whole the way they play it now with the shifts
Yeah.
and the launch angle, and the fundamentals aren't there. The guys, they don't play good fundamental baseball.
I guess, as you know, we've talked about a little bit. I guess they're doing some changes in minor league baseball. Of course, the big change in Major League Baseball, I guess, is obviously two biggies: extra inning games, runner starts at second, and the doubleheaders, 7-inning doubleheaders.
Now did they go to the thing where the pitcher has to stand for 3 batters now, or the whole inning?
Boy, I think they did that, but geez, I haven't thought about that for a while.
Because that changes a lot too.
Yeah, I think that's in there also. But minor leagues, I guess I'm not sure how low in the minor leagues, but no shifting, making your shortstop and third baseman have to be on the left side.
Hey, the Yankees had a game a couple days ago.
Did they
2
run into
hours
like
and-
5 or?
2 hours and 10 minutes.
You're kidding.
I'm not 9-inning game.
9-inning game.
2 hours and 10
Really?
minutes.
That's unbelievable.
Think about that.
That's
the way it
unreal.
used to be.
Sure.
So maybe, and I did read where they're going to let more fans in the ballparks now in New York.
Is that, yeah.
If you got a vaccination, you can go sit next to
Yeah.
anybody.
Huh. Back to I might have mentioned this in passing, but I think I mentioned on my trip, and I really like him. He's a fun guy to listen to, Mad Dog.
Okay.
This is Mad Dog Unleashed. I love Sirius XM, the best money I spend that I get in my car. But Channel 82, but he's on 3 to 6, but a fun guy, formerly, of course, Mike and the Mad Dog fan.
Right.
But the point he made, and believe me, on my trip, I was listening probably an hour a day for a week or two. He was getting, and it could have been you or Nighthawk calling him, he was getting some callers who just went crazy about Manfred, who would have just hung him in a second. And Mad Dog's comment, which I thought was worth something, we made it clear saying, hey, I'm not getting into politics, I'm trying to stick with sports. But the point he made to just a dozen irate callers who could have hung Manfred was, had Manfred not done that, you keep the All-Star game in Atlanta, supposedly, and guess what happens? The black players and maybe everybody boycotts the game. They're not going to play that game, so great. Keep the game in Atlanta, and guess what? It gets to All-Star weekend, and the game falls apart. So, I mean, he was saying, I think Manfred had some justification because that's what I think would have happened had he not moved it out of Atlanta.
I don't know.
You don't buy that?
I don't buy that, and I'll tell you why. I don't think what Georgia did was all that rough.
I think, Jordan, again, I'm not thrilled with the law, but I think the law has been overly demonized.
Yes.
I'll certainly agree with that.
They still get to vote for 10 days
Yeah.
separately. We only get to vote here in Vermont one day.
Well, except you can vote ahead of time easily.
Right,
easily
and you
enough.
can do that in Georgia. All you have to do is show your ID.
Yeah. But back to my point, you
But-
just don't buy the players would have.
No, and you know what?
Yeah.
They've got the owners have the players when it comes to appearances and stuff, character issues, things like that. And for what they're paying those guys, they can show up to the game. Like, I think too many of these guys beg out of the All-Star game.
Sure, yeah, some of them certainly do.
And how many times say, "Oh, I got a pulled hamstring or something," and they don't show up. The All-Star game is a showcase for baseball, and that ought to be, it's like the home run derby.
Yeah.
Look how many guys, nobody gets in the home run derby anymore. Well, if you aren't going to get in it and you aren't getting your best players in it,
Yeah.
don't have it.
Yeah, why haven't?
But when I talk about showcase, I give you another example of something that's turned the other way, and I think it's pretty cool, is how the Masters now has the women's amateur.
Yeah, that's great. Great move by the Masters.
And I read somewhere
Great move.
that I think Pine Valley, which is considered...
Isn't that the one in Las Vegas?
No, Pine Valley is a golf course in New Jersey.
Okay, what, allowing women members?
Allowing women for the first time.
Yeah.
I think that's fine. You know what?
Yeah, why not?
Why not?
Why take the grief from folks who are going to beat you up? Yeah, why? What's the big
Why
deal?
not? And you know what? You work with women today. It's not like it was 100 years ago.
Really?
And it and when you're like the Masters, where you are in the they're not in the cat's bird seat, but what I'm saying, they're in the spotlight
Oh, they're in the world. Geez, the worldwide.
all the time. So they have the opportunity to be on that bully pulpit and showcase golf.
Sure.
How many people love golf because of the Masters?
Right. Well, I'm right in there. You know how much I love
So
it.
I've got no problem. And the thing they did by having Lee Elder be one of the honorary starters.
Sure.
That was really nice. That was a good thing.
Sure, probably for the record should have been done years ago, but at least they did it.
Better
It was a
late
very
than
good thing.
never.
Yeah, I agree.
Better late than never.
Yeah.
And
I agree. The women's amateur, though, the weekend before
that's
was great.
good.
Yeah,
so that's the kind of stuff.
yeah,
You know, I got no problem with that.
yeah. Boy, so baseball. So that really, boy. So you may never come back to baseball.
I doubt it.
Is that right?
I'm just so.
Wow.
The last.
But what about football? I guess what I'd say, and I think my buddy Joe Whittemore, who I played golf with forever, great, tremendous guy. I think the Red Sox. I think he had the same reaction. He's a big Red Sox guy, and I think I think he's not dealing with it because of the All-Star. What about football? What about Colin Kaepernick? Wasn't that
it's
of the
just
same?
as irritating. Except I just love the Giants too much.
So you love the Giants?
You know, we're all weak. we all have certain things that we.
Okay, that's a fair answer. So Giants mean a lot more to you than the Yankees.
And if the Giants still had Pat Shurmur coaching,
yeah,
I probably wouldn't be so interested in it. But I really like this Joe Judge.
I like Joe Judge.
And I don't like football. I don't like all of those guys running in front of the TV and acting like a bunch of
Really?
preening kittens
Really?
in front of them. But
Yeah.
I mean, the Giants, I think Judge has the guys playing football the right way.
Yeah.
Just like the Patriots. You don't see the Patriots acting like a bunch of fools.
Patriots pretty rarely, if ever. Yeah.
The fundamentals,
Yeah.
never go out of fashion
Yeah.
in any sport at any time.
Yeah.
Keep your nose clean. And I'd really like to see a little better sportsmanship and
Yeah.
less. You know who you can blame for all of this? Muhammad Ali. All of that stuff. I watched. I don't know if you were
taunting and stuff.
Well, they had on. I can't remember. A couple of the fights he had with Joe Frazier,
Yeah.
and you know, Joe Frazier was a really decent guy,
Not a bad guy.
and Ali really wasn't a good person.
Yeah.
And you know, a bunch of kids.
Don't tell that to Howard Cosell.
Now Ali was an entertaining guy.
Very, very entertaining.
And when I was a kid, I always wanted to be Muhammad Ali. When we would box, I was always Ali, and somebody else was always Joe Frazier.
I can remember maybe circa early 60s, just radio for his fights, on a distant AM station. I would just be straining to just catch his fight at night on some AM station somewhere.
Did you listen to the Thrilla in Manila? And
I guess to be honest, I don't remember.
I can remember listening to the fight on the radio.
Really?
But Frazier, he was brutal to Frazier.
Yeah.
And call him a gorilla and ugly and stupid and dumb.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't consider him to be a hero. I don't consider him to be a great crusader for things.
Yeah.
And what he basically did was he made it okay for everybody to crap all over your opponent and to not have sportsmanship.
Yeah.
And I mean, like when we're playing golf and I get a little mouthy after the thing's done, that's okay. But you still respect your opponent.
Yeah, for sure.
But
and speaking of which, I'm impressed with big time tennis. I love how, your top guys. Some of these 5-6 hour matches.
Yes.
Hate to see anybody lose it, but for Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, they realize what a great player they're playing. I love the sportsmanship that I typically see after big time tennis.
or look at golf. Look at when Mickelson and Henrik Stenson
Yeah,
battled it out at the British Open,
Yeah.
and Mickelson, and afterwards they go out and they shake the guy's hand.
Yeah.
You give it the best you got,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's okay.
I love seeing good sportsmanship.
Yes, I'm.
And there's way too little of it.
And I think we could stand more of that.
Yeah, no, I'm sure you're right. Again, we seem to be going the wrong way with so many of these things.
Well, I think that a lot of it is that people just aren't raising their kids right. But
Yeah, I suspect that may come into play.
well, in this busy world where you got where women have to work and do all this stuff, it's we've kind of put raising kids as just a auxiliary function.
Yeah.
They don't focus on it.
Yeah.
And the parents want to be friends with their kids.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you what, I never was friends with my kids.
That's right.
I was a boss.
Yeah.
And in my house, my dad was a boss. Parents want kids to be the boss.
Yeah.
And I just ran into one of my...
You and Carrie, I'd be quickly say know a heck of a lot about raising.
Well, when you've had
sounds like
five of
great-
them, you
great
figure it out a
kids.
little bit.
Sounds like 5 great kids. So good for you guys.
Oh, thanks. I could have... maybe I could have trained the Bud a little better, but I'm sure he's not listening. But I ran into, it makes you feel good. I was at the golf course a couple weeks ago, and one of my old hockey players was helping out. He was bussing tables and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was sitting there telling the boys, I said, hey, there's one of my old hockey players, one of my
kids.
favorites. And he comes up to me and he goes, Mr. Handy, you're my favorite coach of all the coaches I ever had.
Yeah, that's cool.
That makes it almost all worthwhile.
Yeah.
And especially when you think of how many, especially with hockey.
I mean, you've coached. We're talking easily hundreds.
I think in
many?
the thousands.
Is that right?
Because I figured
For
I
what,
did.
Hockey, even soccer, which you tell me you hate, I think.
I coached, all right, if you go back, when I first got out of college, I helped coach football.
Really?
Now, I didn't do a lot, but I helped.
As in like
Like assistant, go pick up the dummies at practice and
Really?
stuff for like youth football.
okay, so
Fifth,
like
sixth-
Steelers kind of team.
Yeah, before the Steelers.
Okay.
Then I used to help coach basketball. And then once I finally started getting my own kids, I coached soccer for many years. Youth soccer from like first grade to sixth grade, all the way up through for 3 kids. And one of the things that I did differently, though, is when Bud was coming up through, I made sure I was with the guys when they were picking the teams. And I knew the good kids, and I had one of the other guys was my assistant coach. His kid was really good, and you tried to load up the team, like they do for Little League. And then by the time my third one came around, I told the guys, I said, look, you pick the team. I'll take whoever you give me. And, of course, I knew I was going to have my own kid.
Yeah.
But I obviously didn't get all the stud superstars.
Right.
And you know what? I learned my lesson. It's more rewarding to teach kids that aren't as good to get them better as it is the guys that are good. I mean, hey, it's fun coaching good kids too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I would think that. I've never been a coach, but I would think, especially a kid who's not the greatest at what he's doing, just developing, turns into a pretty good athlete, must make you feel very good.
And one of the things, and then of course in hockey, we started off with the girls. When the girls program started, the girls hockey, there was nothing.
And again, Howard Dean gets a lot of credit for this, does he not?
No, he was a Johnny come lately.
Oh, is that right? No, my
it was
apologies.
already going before Howard.
Oh, really? Okay.
Howard gets
He got some money. Did he get some money?
For the girls high school hockey.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, Howard gets credit for the girls high school
But you're
hockey.
talking before
But
high school.
I'm talking youth hockey for girls 5-6 years before that.
Okay.
The grandfather of girls hockey in St. Albans is really Tom Pearl.
Huh.
And Tom got it started, and he was having practice. How I got out there was, of course, I'm a chatterbox, and I'm shooting a breeze with him, and he says, hey, geez, I can use some warm bodies out here. And I said, hey, Tom, I don't even have a pair of skates. I haven't skated for 20 years. And he said, don't worry about it. Huh. And, of course, and then, of course, I started doing the skating with the girls and doing the drills. Huh. But we did it for fun, and the girls that had signed up for it, They didn't sign up thinking they were going to get scholarships to play for college. They did it because it was a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
And as we got better at it, it was really quite rewarding. And the crew that we had the first 4 years of BFA girls hockey, we probably had 10, 15 girls play college hockey.
Really?
Of one way or another. And these girls none of them could skate in third grade.
Is that right?
And now if you take a kid and he's not already skating, if he hasn't already played 200 games by the time he's in third grade, he's way behind the curve.
Really?
You don't need to worry about it. But, and then of course the girls thing got wrapped in with the rest of the hockey and picks up some of the good stuff and the bad stuff. And but no, the thing that I learned, the few regrets I have a couple of times I wish I hadn't shortened the bench.
Yeah.
Just play everybody and don't worry about it. I mean, does it really make any difference? I mean, it does. It's nice if you're maybe in a championship game.
Yeah.
Maybe if you can win that game, all right. Maybe the states. But one thing I can honestly say is during the regular seasons, I played everybody regularly.
Yeah, it's nice.
And the only and the other difference between me and a lot of the other coaches is I never was any good at anything. So I understood what it was like to be lousy. And so lack of talent never was a problem for having kids play.
Oh, that sounds like that might have been very helpful in a way for you, huh?
Because I'm sympathetic, and the only reason you would lose playing time for me is bad behavior, not lack of skill, maybe lack of effort, but not. Good. And but I mean, we did one of my favorite youth sports was when Natalie was in the 5th grade. I coached the city soccer girls soccer team. First time we played the town.
This is a guy who's not high on soccer, correct?
I don't even know the names of the positions. I had to ask Bud where to put the girls so that I knew how to line them up. I didn't know what a fullback and the middies and the forwards and all that. That's how I know nothing. So we played the town. And they killed us the first time, like 6-7 to nothing. And then the last game of the year, we played the town and we beat them 2-1.
Really?
And I consider that one of my. Of course, our greatest win, of course, has to be when Emmy's team won the state championship when they were in 6th grade.
Wow, really?
For girls hockey.
Wow.
And the year before, we hadn't even scored a goal.
Is that right?
Yeah, so that was kind of fun. Wow. And but of course he got to play on a lot of very, very good teams. And I can't, if you're talking youth hockey, I can't go without mentioning Mark McGinn, who's probably the premier youth hockey coach.
Is that right?
Around here, he coached John LeClaire, he coached all those guys. He didn't coach too many B teams, okay? But Mark was a real good coach, and the kids loved him.
All right.
And
he still stays in touch with John LeClaire, presumably?
I think so. Mark's in Florida now about half the year.
Oh, is that
like
right?
a lot of Vermonters.
Yeah.
They make sure they get their 175 days in Florida?
No, just make. Is that right?
Just enough so that they don't have.
One of my Duke friends who's done very well with himself took over his father's law book publishing firm in Newark, and New Jersey hardly a great tax state, but I guess it beats New York. So he's got a place in the city, but has a beautiful place out in, I think, Sussex County, northern New Jersey. Looks more New Englandy than a lot of New England, but he makes sure he's there for at least one day more a year than he's in New York.
Well,
because it's tax-wise, it's still a big break.
And let me tell you something: if you're in Vermont, and you take Florida for or not Vermont, They check your phone records. They check everything.
Do they really?
They really, because they don't want to lose out on your taxes.
I'm sure.
So you don't have to be in Florida 6 months, but you can't be in Vermont for 6 months.
Oh, yeah. Interesting.
So that's really interesting. But no, the youth hockey was fun all the way up through, except for my last go around wasn't as much fun. And I'll give you a little story about softball. When Emmy was playing softball, I was coaching with Ronnie Bokash, and his daughter and Emmy were both mediocre softball players at best. They weren't any good.
Yeah.
And so we were coaching the first game in what's called the major leagues. So we're playing one of the other teams, and of course the other teams were good, and they had 8 pitchers, and we didn't have anything. And we got to the draft late. See, that's what happened. They were only going to have 2 teams, and it turned out they had enough girls for 3 teams. So they gave Ronnie and I all the pretty much all the leftovers.
Really?
And
Nice of them.
oh, it's beautiful. So anyway, the first game we're playing, we're getting shellacked, and it's about 12-13 to nothing. And then Ron was working for the railroad, and he had I think he was their guy that handled the signals. So there was some problem somewhere, so he got beeped and he had to leave. So now we're playing, and I got 14 or 15 girls. We've had it's first game of the year. We've had maybe one practice, and we finally score a run. And the other coach comes up to me and he goes, "That run doesn't count." I go, "What are you talking about? You batted out of order." I said to him, I go, "Hey, look, it's 15 to nothing."
So it was 15 to nothing when that happened?
It's 15 to nothing. I said, "I'm the only guy here. I got 14 girls. I only know the names of about 6 of them. And you're worried about somebody batting out of order? I got the book here. I got everything. I'm all by myself." He goes, "This is the major leagues, buddy. Grow up."
Is that right?
That's exactly right.
And sorry, how old are the girls?
5th and 6th grade.
5th and 6th grade?
5th and 6th grade.
Oh, that's unbelievable. That's a great story.
And so you...
So did the run stand, or was it
No,
thrown?
no.
No.
So I
15
said,
to
"That's
nothing?
fine. I'm going home. I'm done. We're done playing."
Wow.
He goes, "You can't do that."
Oh, so that was it, huh?
And I said, "Yeah, we're done." I said, "It's 15 to nothing. We've had enough."
Wow.
And
Unreal.
but that's
Wow. Nice
and,
mentality, huh?
and it's worse now.
Is that right?
Oh, I think youth sports today are
I was going to ask. We're down to about 2 minutes. Is that right? You think it's worse?
I think it's
now?
worse now.
Really?
Well, people only have 1 or 2 kids,
Yeah.
so they really get invested in their sports.
And again, some of these parents still think their kids are going to make it to the big time.
Oh,
huh?
they think they're going to NHL. They think they're going to the NBA.
Is that they really do? Huh?
Oh, absolutely.
Wow.
And they think that they're going to get, at the minimum, they're going to all get scholarships to Division I schools.
Yeah, scholarships, huh?
You know, if they were smart
Yeah.
and their kids were smart, there's a lot more money for academic scholarships
Yeah.
than there is for athletic scholarships.
Maybe spend your time on academics.
But
And I know you've voiced concern in the past about a lot of parents are just telling the kids to concentrate on their best sport, when you're saying,
that's
hey,
the wrong thing
well-rounded
to
is
do.
way better way to go, right?
play every sport, and what they told us at the USA Hockey the last time I went to training is the reason why the Europeans are considered all the most skilled hockey players
Yeah.
is because those guys play 3-4 sports.
Huh.
They play soccer.
But soccer's got to be in there.
You develop your hands. You look at all the guys. You look at all our old sporting icons.
Yeah.
They all played baseball and football and basketball and soccer, and they played everything.
Yeah.
No,
Interesting.
they didn't focus on one sport, especially not at 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 years old.
Yeah. Boy, so you think youth sports has just gotten
terrible.
worse? Really?
It's terrible. And,
Wow.
well, it's too big a business.
Yeah.
And these showcases, you got 12-year-olds pitching in front of radar guns. No wonder these guys have Tommy John. Their arms are all shot by the time they're 13, 14 years old.
Well, listen, on that kind of disquieting note, we got to move on. Mr. Handy, thanks for your
Thank
usual
you.
great performance. Really appreciate it. And Mr. Allen, thanks for being the key guy behind the scenes. I'm Richard Cobrathwaite, Duke Forest, and we'll see you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Adios.